कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तज्जडम्. Action yields fruit, for so the Lord ordains it. How can action be the Lord? It is insentient. Kritimaho dadau patana karanam palamashashvatam gati nirodhakam. The fruit of the action passes, but action leaves behind seed of further action, leading to an endless ocean of action, not at all to moksha. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chittashodakam mukti sadakam. Disinterested action, surrendered to the Lord, purifies the mind and points the way to moksha. Kayavan mana karyamuttamam pujanam japa chintanam kramat. This is certain. Worship, praise and meditation, being work of body, speech and mind, are steps for orderly action. Jagata Ishadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Brat Deva Pujanam. Ether, fire, air, water, earth, sun, moon and living beings, worship of these, regarded all as forms of His, is perfect worship of the Lord. Uttama Svat Uchamandata Chittajam Japa Dhyanamuttamam. Better than hymns of praise is repetition of the name, better low voiced than loud, but best of all is meditation in the mind. Ajyadaraya Shrotasa Sama Sarala Chintanam Viralatah Param. Better than spells of meditation is one continuous current, steady as a stream or downward flow of oil. Veda Bhavana Sohamityasau Bhavana Bidha Pavani Mata. Better than viewing him as other, indeed the noblest attitude of all is to hold him as the I within, the very I. Bhava Sunyasad Bhava Sustihi Bhavana Bhalat Bhaktiruttama. Abundance is pure being, transcending thought through love intense is the very essence of supreme devotion. Hristale mana swastata kriya bhakti yoga bo dascha nishchitam. Absorption in the heart of being, whence we sprang, is the path of action, of devotion, of union and of knowledge. Vayurodhana liyate mana jalapakshiva rodasadanam. Holding the breath controls the mind. A bird caught in a net. Breath regulation helps absorption in the heart. Chitta vaya Chitta Vayavas Chitkriyayuta Sakayordvayi Shakti Mulaka. Mind and breath as thought and action fork out like two branches, but both spring from a single root. Laya Vinashane Ubayarodane Layagatam Punar Bhavati Nomratam. Absorption of two sorts, submergence and destruction, mind submerged, rises again, dead it revives no more. Pranabandhanat Linamanasam Ekachintanat Nasameyata. Breath controlled and thought restrained, the mind turned one way inward, fades and dies. Nashtamanaso Krista Yogina Krityama Krityamasti Kim Swastim
Swastithim yata.
Swastitim Yata. Mind extinct, the mighty seer returns to his own natural being and has no action to perform. Drishyavaritam chittamatmana chitvadarshanam tattvadarshanam. It is true wisdom for the mind to turn away from outer objects and behold its own effulgent form. Manasam tu kim margane krute naiva manasam marga arjava. When unceasingly the mind scans its own form, there is nothing of the kind. For everyone, this path direct is open. Vrittayastvaham vrittimastira
Vrittimashrita.
vrittimashrita vrittayo mano vrittaya
Viddhayam mana.
vrittayo mano vrittiyam mana. Thoughts alone make up the mind, and of all thoughts, the I thought is the root. What is called mind is but the notion I. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvata aipatam yaham nija
Aipatatyaham.
patatyaham nija vicharanam. When one turns within and searches whence this I thought arises, the shamed I vanishes and wisdom's quest begins. Ahaminashaba
Jahamahan.
jahama hantaya spurati hrit swayam paramapurnasat. Where this I notion faded, now there as I arises. The one, the very self, the infinite. Idamaham pada bhikyamanvaham ahama ahamilina
Ahamilina.
ke pyalaya sattaya. Of the term I, the permanent import is that for even in deep sleep, where we have no sense of I, we do not cease to be. Vigra Indriya Pranadi Ditama Nahamake
Nahamekasat.
Nahamekasat Tajjadam Hyasat. Body, senses, mind, breath, sleep, all insentient and unreal, cannot be I who am the real. Sattva bhasika chitva petara satyahi chet
Sattayahi chet.
Sattaya chet chittaya hyaham. For knowing that which is, there is no other knower. Hence, being is awareness, and we all are awareness. Isha jivayo veshati pida satsvabhavato vastu kevalam. In the nature of their being, creature and creator are in substance one. They differ only in adjuncts and awareness. Veshahanata Swatmadarshanam, Ishadarshanam, Swatmarupata. Seeing oneself free of all attributes is to see the Lord, for he shines ever as the pure self. Atma samstiti, Swatma darshanam, Atma nirdvaya, Atma nishtata. To know the self is but to be the self, for it is non-dual. In such knowledge, one abides as that. Jnanavarjita, jnanahina chet, jnanamasti kim, jnatumantaram. That is true knowledge, which transcends both knowledge and ignorance. For in pure knowledge is no one to be known.
No object to be known.
Yeah, it is no object to be known.
In a way, it's okay.
Kim swarupamit yat yatma darshane.
Kim swarupamet yatma darshane.
Kim swarupamit yatma darshane. Avyabhavapu.
Avyaya bhava.
Bhava. Avyaya bhava. Purnachit sukham. Having known one's nature, one abides as being with no beginning and no end in unbroken consciousness and bliss. Bandha mukyati tamparam sukham vindati haji vastu daivika. Beyond bondages and release is steadfastness in service of the Lord. Ahamapetakam nijavibanakam mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam. All ego gone, living as that alone is penance good for growth, sings Ramana the Self.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Any
In the 31,
huh?
1 second in that 31.
Yes, 31.
31.
I have not modified anything.
Yeah, no. Or the 30?
30 is the last Shubha.
No. Before this, sir?
Before this, sir?
Before
Slide
this.
number.
Yeah, in unbroken consciousness and bliss. What does unbroken consciousness means?
Okay. Unbroken because space, for example, space. Space is not divided. It appears to have divided.
Okay.
So,
Sir, but even consciousness like that is continuous only, no? There is no breakage in consciousness, right?
Yeah.
You're
So,
not falling.
because your very nature is consciousness, your nature is never broken. Your true self is never broken. Is that clear, Shubhaji?
Yeah, the space relatively, it makes sense. Yeah.
Like that. So, this book has been newly published in the Notion Press. This book is called Flowering of Bliss.
Yeah, I think it's there in the website.
It's in the Notion Press. So this is based on the Upadesha Saram. This was published long back, but now it's been brought on to Notion Press. 199 only. Get moksha for 199. All right.
Instant, like the instant coffee.
Like the instant coffee. Okay. So then, we'll go into our Aparoksha Anubhuti. So in the Aparoksha Anubhuti, So what we have done, Saravanan-ji, so far is that we have contemplated on some questions. Let me bring up the questions. Yeah. So we started with
Yeah,
what
I
is
was there
Aparoksha Anubhuti?
for this, Vijayji.
Huh?
I was there for this.
You were there for the consciousness and awareness.
Hmm.
Were you there for the what is Aparoksha Anubhuti? And what is the purpose of it?
Yeah,
And
sir, I only started, no, that day. Remember, first day I only spoke. That time Sarvananji was there, no?
Yeah, but
He
but
was
we
there,
can,
but he said he will come back.
but we can revisit. No
No,
problem.
maybe he didn't present. That I don't
Yeah.
remember.
He
Yeah.
didn't present.
correct. Okay, all right.
But he
Yeah.
was there, yeah.
Okay.
So we can
Everybody-
hear Sarvananji, no, sir, then today.
Ah,
Subha, you presented, right?
Yeah.
you have anything to share on the screen, Sarvanji?
No, I have written notes, but it's not in a presentable form. I can talk. I can share my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it starts with the understanding of the term of Aparoksha Anubhuti, which what we understand as the direct experience. And the moment we say experience, then like if it is direct, what are the other ways? So we have the Pratyaksha, Paroksha, and Pratyaksha and Paroksha being the two main ones, where the Pratyaksha is with the help of the senses, right? What I see and I experience, and the Paroksha being what I learn from others indirectly. So that there is a mountain and it looks like this, and so on. So both have something to experience through some medium, and that's where the Aparoksha comes, where there is no instrument you are using to experience. So then, like, how can you experience when there is no instrument in between? So that's where the direct term comes. But how do I understand direct? So that's where the other term that is being introduced, which is intuition. Like we just I just feel it, right? And why did I get it? How did I get it? I don't know. I'm not going with that objective to figure out something. It just happens so. And is it? But then, like, is it the? And to be very, we still have to be careful. That was the mind involved, and the mind, it has to be beyond the mind. That's why Guruji also says a perception. It's not perceived by mind again. It is felt directly. So that's the experience part. This is the first section.
Yeah.
Any questions here?
So when we say it is felt, so felt is still in the in terms of the. I'm just I want the clarification.
Yeah.
Not that
Mind is involved.
I have a doubt about what you are saying. When you use felt, are you meaning, it is felt, like how we say, oh, I felt the heat. I touched that object and I
Becomes
felt
a sensory.
Domain of the senses.
Sensory organs, but here it is non-sensory.
So can you clarify that part?
So the one difference being the sensory one is still the mind perceives based on the inputs, and the inputs through the eyes, ears, nose, touch. Right? But here in this case, the senses are not involved, so the mind is not getting the inputs to come to a conclusion. And what happened, it just happened, not through these, without seeing these, just being there, maybe in a place at a time, and I get it. And I cannot explain beyond that how and why. Because the moment that how and why comes, then it's in the domain of the mind. How? Because I saw this and that's why. Right? But here, that question, I feel, cannot be answered. And that is how it is outside the domain of the mind.
So, okay, let's examine that a little more deeply. Now, we are now discussing what is Aparoksha Anubhuti. So now, the Aparoksha Anubhuti itself is beyond mind, correct? It is again, Aparoksha Anubhuti is a word pointing to the true self. Like, many other words that we use, be it Brahman, be it non-dual awareness, all are a pointer. But here, we are approaching it from the standpoint of typically an object, you name it. It's a mobile. It's a book. Whereas here, we are trying to somehow point to it through some kind of what may feel like a experience. That which makes me feel very cold. See, for example, ice cube, that which makes me feel very cold, is also a way to point to that object. You're not saying it's ice cube. You're saying that which makes me feel cold. So here, Aparoksha Anubhuti, you're not naming that as Brahman or as non-dual awareness. You're not giving a noun, but it's as if you're pointing to it through some kind of how it expresses. So can you clarify then what is, when you say the how cannot be explained? Because, for example, when I touch the ice cube, the perception of that ice cube and what happens is instantaneous. But then when I ask the question, okay, so tell me what you felt. Tell me how you felt. I can explain, no?
So
is the question clear? Is the question clear?
Yeah. So this is where we need to get into the word experience itself. When we introduce a term experience, it is immediately there is duality. There is a subject and object, and the subject experiences the object. And only when there is duality, you need some instrument to experience the object. Okay, but the only way you can break this is by not having this duality. Only when there is no duality, there is the middle person is not needed. So in the case of the Aparoksha Anubhuti, finally it goes towards the one realizing self, which is the only way, which is the only special scenario where you will not have how and why, because then like there is something else, which is when like you would say like how and why. But here it has to be only about the self. That is the only time you will be able to have this direct intuitive experience of the self.
So the how, let's dig into the how. How isn't it self-evident? How? Because that's its very nature.
Yeah.
But when are you answering the how? The answer to the how is not that you have to go and prove to somebody else.
Yeah,
when
that's
someone
why,
asks,
that was the
you have to express. At the time of again it's a limitation of the expression. When I say that at the time, as if I am making it sound like a particular event, which it is not. But still, in the way of expression, at the time of that intuitive awareness arising. So it's like the clarity that I am that is arising. So when somebody asks how, then the how part can be answered, isn't it?
Yeah, that where I feel the difficulty is intuitive direct experience cannot be explained to the other because it is very it is not using any instrument or anything external.
Correct.
That is why it becomes difficult to express that how, answer that how. But yeah, obviously we are all, if somebody has not explained, then like we will not be going through all these videos and discussions. Yeah, the how can be the pointer, and that's it. But the person who is listening to the answer has to again go through the same direct experience to realize. It's like if I see through my eyes, I can show there I can see. Can you see? Right? And the other person can say, oh yeah, through my eyes I can also see the same. But the intuitive experience is very personal, which you cannot easily make the other person realize. You can prepare the person and point towards the path. Go this way, try these things, then you will get it. And that's all. It stops there. While all other experiences, I can say that I see it here. Can you see it? Move towards your right. There you go, or touch it, and you can see, you can feel it, right? So that's how that's the difference I see.
Yeah. However, even in guiding, is it not possible to bring about clarity to what is not Aparoksha. So when somebody is going through, see, for example, when you have to guide, look there, then somebody says, okay, is it that, for example, let's say they are looking at, for a first time, a statue, right? So you ask, okay, look there. Do you see Kempegoda statue? Oh, is it the one who's holding the stick? No, that cannot be it. So look to the left, there. Like that, you are negating what it is not.
Yeah.
So through negation.
Perfect. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Negation is the only way to guide to answer the question. Yeah. Very easily you can say that it's not the ones. So it keeps filtering, and then like the one remains.
Okay, so now let's come back then. So then you said the how and the why cannot be explained. So now, as far as the how is concerned, now can you rephrase what you have been saying?
Yeah. So when I said how did I experience? That's what I was trying to say, that it's I did not experience by seeing or hearing. The one way to answer may be that from deep contemplation, it happened.
Okay. Now here is
how that experience, right?
Again, here is
How
another
did you
catch.
experience
No, here is again another catch. If it is the outcome of deep contemplation, then it is a something that happened because of something.
Yeah. So which basically
which
goes
means
back.
it is something that is born and something that will go away. So is it then the product of the contemplation?
See, the experience itself means something was always there, and someone experienced. Okay. So there is something there always, and then from not knowing to knowing, okay, and not knowing to knowing, either it can happen by seeing or hearing, or through the intellect. Like you give the knowledge, and that's where based on that knowledge, based on the contemplation of the knowledge, maybe one starts experiencing. That's maybe that's why I said that's to do with the timing of it, and that is always there. What is there is always there, but that from the person moved from, or the one moved from the not knowing to the knowing of it. That is in time. From the ignorance to the knowledge, right? That is an incident of experience.
So the contemplation only removed what was covering.
Yeah.
So contemplation cannot be the cause of it.
No. Cause of it was the channel to experience. I would say, like how one uses the eyes to experience or ears to experience something outside, something inside. It happened through the contemplation.
Again, I want us to be clear there. When you say it happened through contemplation, Now, if the true self itself is a product of the contemplation, then how can it be true? Is that what you are implying? Is the question clear?
Oh, so the true self is always there. Okay. But let's say if I close my eyes, I cannot see something. Okay. If something has to be seen through the eyes, right? So the instance was that opening of the eyes. So in this case, the instance was that the point of that intuition. Okay. And I just use the word contemplation to take one to that intuition. Because without something, without a cause, there is no action. So something should lead to that intuition. And that's why I used contemplation of the knowledge that may lead to this experience. It cannot be that, let's say that we are sitting in this circle and like we are discussing these things, and there is someone who has not heard of Vedanta and Advaita, and suddenly he gets it. No.
Why not?
Something has to guide that person to this experience.
No, why is the assumption that only those who have studied Vedanta would have the Aparoksha Anubhuti?
It's not necessarily in the formal way of Vedanta and Aparoksha Anubhuti, this, but it can be any unnamed thing, but still that unnamed thing somebody has to say. Okay, it's possible that a jnani walking through a path looks at somebody and says something, and the guide thinks about it and he gets it. It's still possible. But then like still that trigger has to happen. It cannot be that I keep eating and suddenly I realize that's what I meant. The cause and the effect.
But sometimes it does happen like that, no? So, for example, you go with a deep thought in the mind to the bed, and somewhere in the middle of the night or early in the morning, you as you wake up, you have that solution, right?
That is in the area of what you are thinking. Right? You may get an intuitive idea in the area of your contemplation. It may be to do with my work. I'm trying to solve a mathematical problem, and I get up and say, "No, what? I know how to solve it." It is still in that domain, but what we are talking about here is the domain of knowing the true self. Right? So the playground needs to be different. It's not about how do I handle that bowler or how do I crack that math. Here it's like,
sure,
you are not this. Somebody has to say, and then like if someone goes to bed thinking about like, why did he say that I'm not this? And maybe like that may bring the experience.
So are you saying that there has to be a trigger for Aparoksha Anubhuti?
Yes. There has to be a cause to any effect. Without reason, there is nothing that is happening.
Sarananji, why do you call it as an effect? Like
it cannot be a
what
random
you said, I
event.
understood. Like, okay, there has to be a cause for an effect. But I don't understand why this has an effect.
It's an experience we are saying. And how did I get that experience?
It is not that kind of experience. No, I think that is what they are saying clearly. It is coming very, I mean, the only way to describe it is coming very close to an intuitive experience, but he is not saying it is intuitive experience.
Yeah, that's why
That is the closest you can come to explaining the meaning of that word. That's all. So,
yeah, so that's
and
why
something which is already there, no. For example, what I mean to ask is, for example, this body you have, right? You have this body. There is no cause needed for you to experience, right? You know you have the body. Is what I'm saying. So isn't
what I
that
meant,
also going to be something like that, which is aparoksha? It doesn't need a cause. You just know it's there, but it's just that you are not able to recognize it now because of various obstacles, but it is just there. So why is it called as an effect? Effect you're saying.
yeah. So we even like when you said, I have a body, but the point is moving from experience. The moment we say experience, there is a before experience, after experience, right? And how, so otherwise there is no experience. It's always there. The word itself doesn't come at all, right? The word experience came because I did not, I know, I did not. So there was a switch. Now the question is,
we'll come back to that very
event?
particular question. Who did not know and who now knows? We'll dig into that. But first, let's welcome Rupaji. Hari Om, Rupaji.
Hari Om, everyone. Hari Om, Vijayji. Sir, I wanted to know what is being discussed here. I didn't
We are
understand.
like 50 feet deep now.
Correct.
We have to come out and then we'll go in again.
That's why it was a nice segue that Rupaji came. So, Rupaji, we are talking about Sarvanji started giving his views on what is Aparoksha Anubhuti. And during that, he mentioned that Aparoksha Anubhuti, the how and the why cannot be explained. So we like the news anchors, no? We picked on the how, and now we are throwing various scenarios at that how, and we are seeing how stable Saravanji's theory is. So at that time, Rupaji came, and so we got a commercial break. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saravanji, so to say that, somebody experienced, so there's a prior to experience and after experience. Now, who experienced? I mean, is Aparoksha Anubhuti like another experience? Who experienced?
Yeah. So so experience again. The word experience brings duality. Without two, there is no experience. Right. So here the experience. So the two we are talking about here is the one real and the one unreal, who has okay, and at some point of time, the unreal one realizing that, oh, okay, I am not the real one.
So you are saying the unreal realizing I'm not the real one. That much is a very good pointer.
Yeah.
Because if you take the other view, the real one knowing that now I'm the real one.
No.
So it can be only the unreal realizing that I'm unreal.
Sir, is it not the other way?
What do you mean?
You said it is, Saranand said it is unreal realizing the real one, right? But is it not real one realizing that it itself is real? What I mean is it not the Atma realizing
that I am Atman?
It is infinite? Yeah.
So then what it implies, that statement, what you are saying, what it implies is that Atma has ignorance.
Yeah.
The real one has ignorance, in the sense that the real one is the one who's searching for itself.
Actually, I had understood it like this all these days. I don't know if I'm right or not.
Let's examine that. It is not about right or wrong. Let's examine that. See, where is the ignorance? Let's look at that aspect very clearly. That's why I brought up this picture. So in this picture, see the right hand picture. In the right hand picture, there is this reflection in the water, which appears very much like that particular person. And the reflection going on thinking that I am the real one. So the ego going on thinking that I am the real one. And therefore, the ego is the one which gets into all kinds of bondages. Because it goes on thinking that I'm the real one. So, Aparoksha Anubhuti is the reflection, is even a true reflection. Is it, what I mean by that is it even true? Is it the real object? The real object is not the reflection at all, has never been. But the reflection has been claiming. The reflection has been claiming. So therefore, what Saranji said just now, the reflection, meaning what? The ego entity realizing that I am not real, is a good expression. Then if I am not real, then what is real? So that is where it stops. So the what is real, if you try to describe it, it again, you can describe it. You know, the real has never been born, the real is ever there, real has no death, real is beyond knowledge and ignorance. Why? Because knowledge and ignorance are in the reflection level. So the real has to be above that. So in that sense, what Saranji said makes a good pointer. The unreal realizing I am unreal. Because their realization is still possible. Because it is still in the domain of the mind. Still there is a duality. The ego entity, so far which was focused on, who I am, what I have done, all that me, and my thoughts, to suddenly realizing, oh, I'm just a simple reflection I've been claiming. So that's what silences the ego. Ego loses its ownership. Ego loses its power, loosens its grip. So that loosening of the grip can be described. But when it loosens, that ego suddenly felt, I am unreal. That is the flash of the real.
So that is Aparoksha Anubhuti.
So it still appears like an experience, but it's a pointer again in the sense that the unreal coming to crystal clear clarity that I'm unreal. And it happened because, so the happened because is where Saranji brought, okay, there may be Vedantic contemplation, there may be some other trigger. So in the domain of the ego, that is all clear. So because of the sadhana, and I had that glimpse. So the ego can now say, I had that glimpse. But the ego is no more, I had that glimpse. So I am that only is where the ego should end. So that flash of awareness, that flash of clarity, when it is expressed through our mind and vocalized as a speech, it is given the name Aparoksha Anubhuti. So Aparoksha Anubhuti itself is not because the expression, there is no expression. But when somebody asks a question, so is that Aparoksha Anubhuti? Then it has to be vocalized. Then it has to be said. So the best way is what it is not is the best way to describe, because what it is not can be described clearly. So then that jolt, that clear, crystal clear clarity that, oh, this ego entity has never been true, now shines in that mind. Is this making sense? Is this bringing clarity to Rupaji? Because I still see some doubt.
No, sir. I understood.
Okay.
So it is when ego realizing that it is unreal. It is not just
is a negative way of, is a native way of saying it.
It is not just ego just not knowing, but it is realizing, because we also know that ego is unreal now, but we have not realized.
So what shifts from knowing to realizing? When is that shift going to happen?
Realization can happen anytime, as we discussed in Tattva Bodha. It is here and now, but it depends on one's sadhana.
So what is the obstacle for realization then? So if the knowledge is accepted, if the jnana is accepted, then what is the block? Where is the block?
It's past karmas and impressions which has to be dropped. Only then realization could happen.
Right. So the deeply held conditioning, the deeply held belief systems, the past impressions is what is really blocking.
Yeah.
That's where Prabhuji gives the example, no, of driving. Initially, we are very, very careful. As it becomes a very deeply ingrained habit pattern, even when speaking to somebody or listening to a song or doing something else, we are driving. So it is the deeply held belief system and the impressions which block. So that's why we contemplate again and again till this becomes deep-rooted.
So after Viveka, Vairagya.
So you could relate to that, no, Rupaji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So as we drop attachment, why are we dropping attachment? Or is it a practice? No, it is not a practice. Vairagya is not a practice. Vairagya is a simple outcome of, this is unreal. There is nothing to hold on to. It is a simple recognition. What am I holding on to? So the moment that clarity emerges, Vairagya is quite natural. It is not I'm aspiring to be a Vairagi. Vairagya is when the clarity is there, when the right discrimination is there, it's natural. I don't have to work hard to know that fire burns. It's not after many, many years of study and research that I find out that fire burns. So the first time I keep my hand and it burns, both Viveka and Vairagya have come. No more I have to keep my hand there. Good. Okay. So Sarananji, so then let's summarize your understanding, and then we will go to Rupaji. Rupaji, you also have to present, no, what is Aparoksha Anubhuti?
Yes, sir. I could only hear till 20 or 25 minutes. That's all.
That's okay. With whatever you have heard, you can present.
Yeah, still in first 3 minutes only.
Okay.
So you have a lot to talk.
We are in the DVD era. Okay, no, let's go back. Rewind, fast forward. We are not fast forward. We are only rewind and slow forward.
Okay.
Even while listening, I do that, sir. Go back, again listen. Okay, then I come back.
Yeah. That's why our Shankaracharya ji started Brahmagnanavali with Asangoham, 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 Punah. So he is also saying Punah because that's the truth. But for us also it's repeat, Punah. Yes, Arunji, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what about the Aparoksha Anubhuti direct experience. We talked about experience and why direct, and when does experience happen. In the sense, there is only when there is duality. Right? And we all start with the duality, and the duality that that one starts with is I on the one side and everything other than I, the world on the other side. Right? And And this duality always gives rise to, I think actually I'm going to the next topic. Duality and what does it cause, and what is the solution? Should I continue on the duality part?
Shall we listen to Rupaji's view?
Yeah,
and then,
that's why
we'll continue. Yeah.
We'll continue on the duality next, because that alone can take another 20-30 minutes.
Yeah. So Rupaji, the question is, what is Aparoksha Anubhuti? And then according to you, and what is the purpose and why we should study this Vedantic scripture? So what is Aparoksha Anubhuti itself is your own understanding of Aparoksha Anubhuti. Then the next question is related to the scripture that we are studying.
Okay. Yeah. Guruji talks about Pratyaksha, Paroksha, and then Aparoksha, where Pratyaksha is the things that that are available to our senses. We come to know or we experience them through our senses. And Paroksha is something that we don't experience through our senses directly. We only get to hear about it or come to know about it from others or from some other source. So we don't directly experience that. It is being told to us by others. And Aparoksha is not both. It is not our own experience or someone else telling us about it. Just a minute, Guruji.
Yeah.
I forgot what is Aparoksha now.
So Aparoksha. Paroksha means para aksha, somebody else's eyes. Aparoksha.
Para means somebody else's. Aparoksha means not somebody else's. It
Correct.
is my own self's experience about its true self, or realize.
Yeah,
Can you
go on.
explain? No, I am not able to explain Aparoksha correctly.
Okay. So let's go with the words first. So give your views on what the word Aparoksha and what the word Anubhuti means.
Anubhuti is the experience. And Aparoksha is not my own direct experience. It is somebody, it is through somebody else's, it is not through somebody else's, it is my direct experience.
So it is called as direct, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in life, experience means what generally in life?
Whichever we feel is an experience.
Correct. But how do we experience? So you have a mango and you see that as a separate thing and you take it and you touch it. That's one kind of an experience. You smell it. That's another kind of experience. You
there is
put
subject,
it in the mouth.
object.
Yeah, so there is a separateness. There is a,
Yes.
yeah, I am separate from that object.
Hmm.
And now the experience is, I want to now, okay, touching is one kind of an experience. Smelling is one kind of an experience. Now I want to enjoy it. I want to be together with it. That's also another deeper level of experience that I crave for. So I take that and I put it in the mouth. Now it has become part, right? So now that is the way we see experience in life. So essentially through the five senses. And the ultimate is, becoming one with it, eating it, yeah, possessing it. So we want to possess it. So this is the way we define experience in life. So now then, here is something which is saying it is direct. So in the experience that we have defined so far about the mango, what is not direct about it?
It is not becoming one with me. That is not direct. In Pratyaksha, I only experience it by through my sense organs. I'm seeing, smelling, and seeing, smelling, and touching the mango. And in Paroksha, maybe I have heard about mango from somebody else. But now what you have described is Aparoksha, because it is becoming one with me.
So in the mango experience, without the senses, there is no experience. In the smelling the mango, touching the mango, eating the mango, without the five senses, there is no experience possible. Which in other words, without the instrument, without the body and the mind, that experience is not possible. Whereas Aparoksha is by itself. So it is not dependent on the sense organs. It is not dependent on the body.
Yeah, Guruji says that it is an intuitive experience of Atman or Brahman or their oneness. Sir, shall I go ahead with the next?
So say it again. Now I want to hear from your view what is Aparoksha Anubhuti.
As you said, once we eat the mango, it becomes one with us. Like that, when we experience that Brahman and our true self is nothing but one only, that experience is Aparoksha Anubhuti.
Okay, so when you keep saying when we experience, who is that who is experiencing?
My Atma.
Okay, so now look at the way you're describing. My Atma. So there's a my. So you are separate and Atma is separate, and Atma is experiencing who then?
Sir, then is it the ego that
So,
experiences?
is the ego experiencing the self? Then the ego must be higher than the self.
No, but ego thinks that it is the real one. So, as Saravananji said, that unreal experiencing that it itself is unreal. Ego experiencing that it is unreal. So that causes the drop of ego.
Mm.
And
Correct. And what is there when that ego silenced is that only.
yeah, when the ego drops, only the true self will be there, and there is nothing which stops us from experiencing that true self. Until then, it was ego which was stopping us.
Now, again, okay, now you got into another word play. So when the ego dropped, you had a, the what remains is self only. What did you say afterwards? What did you say afterwards?
Only true self remains, and
then I am experiencing self only.
yeah,
Means
then
what?
still the ego is experiencing.
So in a way, in order to express yourself in the world, there has to be a certain unreal reflection through which you are expressing. So that unreal expression is saying that I am not the true self.
So it is what remains.
Mm.
The easiness is what remains.
Is what remains. And it has never gone away. In the first place, it was not lost. And it is not that something that you gained. It's always been there. Through jnana, you simply are recognizing it. Jnana enabled dropping of the ignorance. When the ignorance is dropped,
then why do we? Then why do we say realization? Who is realizing, sir?
So that's the whole question that we just now discussed. No, when you joined, we can say about realization from the standpoint of the ego. It's the ego which can claim, I realized something. And this ultimate realization leaves the ego to just be a actor. It's its tendency to hold on to it as mine. When that truly drops, then that it becomes clear that I'm just a reflection, and reflection has no future. It is not real. It is not the ever existing. So the reflection is there in a point of time. Like how now this hand appeared and went. Now that shape it formed, the way it formed, it appeared and went. That's it. The job ended. It was just a flow. It's a wave that appeared. So the ego is just like that wave. It appeared. And in that mind, it took a position as a questioner, as an answerer, as a wife, as a husband, as a boss, as whatever. And in that moment, whatever that was needed was enabled, and that's it. That role ends.
Okay. Because of this word realization, the way I took it maybe was wrong all these days.
So it feels very closer to experience, right? When you break it into in a slightly different way of seeing it, realization. So realization is, I'm nothing but the real I. So it's an unshakable clarity. Experience can be challenged. Are you sure? Are you sure that what you ate is mango only? That can be challenged. Are you sure that what you're smelling is mango only? So experience is like that, because it's coming through the senses. There is no absolute way of saying. But do you exist unshakable? Are you of the nature of peace unshakable? So realization is unshakable because it is anchored in truth. Whereas experience can be subjective. Yeah. So now, can you put it together in your own way?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Aparoksha Anubhuti is as Prabhuji said, it is intuitive experience because this happens when the ego drops and what remains is the true self. That is Aparoksha Anubhuti. Because he says it is not sense perception or and he says it is a perception, not through senses. It is the experience of Atman and Brahman becoming one.
But because again and again we are using it in the discussion, we are using the word experience. So that is where it's a limitation of the vocabulary. It's a limitation of the way of expressing it. So therefore, all expressions are expressions of that only, in that way. Then there is no dichotomy. There is no problem to express. Then any expression is that expression only.
That's why Prabhuji says in in that video one word, it's not experience of true self, but recognition of true self.
Who recognized? Who recognized?
I.
Huh?
I.
So who is that I? So recognition of the recognition means the false I recognizing that I am false. Then what remains is true.
So ego recognizing that it is unreal.
It is unreal. Because that is still in the domain of the mind. Okay. So before we jump to the next question, Padmaji, you've been quite silent.
No, sir, I've been listening, thinking on some things which I had also written. So yeah, next week maybe we can go further. Then more questions will come, I think, for me at least.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So as of now, is
Sir,
there
I have
any,
no questions and all. Yeah,
uh,
I have no questions. Yeah.
and in whatever that is being said, you're okay with everything?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. I think I mean, at the end of the whatever discussion we have, no, it all boils down to that thing only. Like who is the one who's recognizing? Who is the one who is like? I think that question is the one that keeps coming, and I think we should keep coming back to that because uh, after a while, it's always like there is a switch happening to the ego even without realizing is what I feel like. Even though we go through the scriptures, and then after a while, that ego again comes back saying that, yeah, I know the scripture. So, so like you said, when you ask Shubha now, I think it's like it hits you hard when you ask that question. Yeah, every time you ask that question, no, like it's like, okay, somebody else has to answer it because there is no actually answer. There is no answer to that question, right? So, yeah. So yeah, just now I was thinking like before you said asked that I was thinking, wow, we have come to the second scripture and all, and then this question comes up. So I was like, okay, yeah, back to ground zero now. Yeah, yeah. So I feel that the ego has ways to come in. It's very persistent. Yeah.
But the good news,
Hmm.
good news is that the time for correction is now shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah, that's there. That's there. The switch is easy, and you are able to recognize. Yeah. Oh no, it's not the real me. It's the ego. Okay. Again, it has come up like that. Snake, no sir. It'll come up right like that, lifting his head up. Then you have to constantly like beat it, like go down, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But at least now it is easier to recognize that okay, the snake has come up.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll then go to the next question, which is, so Rupaji, what is your view on why we should study this scripture?
Sir, I feel every session is helping to go in depth and it happened now. It becomes more and more clearer. All the things that we had taken in a wrong way will be corrected. So when we study this scripture and get that clarity, it strengthens our um, it strengthens our progress in this path.
Wonderful. So that is one of the purpose why we should study. Excellent. Based on the talk or based on the scripture itself, what do you think Shankaracharya ji has said about who should read and why they should read Aparoksha Anubhuti?
I don't know in this scripture where he has said, but in Tattvabodha, he has given those eligibilities, qualifications for.
No, qualification is next. See, first is who should study and why they should study. Then comes qualification. What is the qualification of the one who studies? So that's why that's a separate question, fourth one.
Sir, for be it any scripture, not just this one, it is for moksha only.
It is for moksha only. Okay, excellent.
Because all these are about our Vedas and Upanishads. They are actually pointing towards what is being told in those scriptures. So our scriptures were telling about the path to liberation and how one can lead one's life. So when we study this scripture, our lives will also become easy.
Okay. So then you brought moksha. So can I ask, what is your view on what is moksha now?
Yeah. Moksha is getting free from our past impressions and dropping our ego, and it is realizing that I am not the ego.
Excellent.
And I had always been peaceful and happy. So I'm complete. And earlier I used to think that it only happens after death, when all the karmas are done. Karmas are zero. When one dies, after that he attains moksha, and the moksha, according to me, was not getting any birth anymore. But after Tattva Bodha, it is clear now that even after moksha, even after realization, the body will continue to exist.
May
Until
continue.
Yes, may
Hmm.
continue.
Wonderful. Excellent. Any other questions to Rupaji?
Sir, this question is not for Rupaji.
Oh.
I just wanted to ask you,
Hmm.
is almost for Aparoksha Anubhuti, Tattva Bodha, the basic thing is the same.
Hmm.
So is it done just to reiterate for us as humans to get into that path of moksha? Because almost the essence is the same, right? It is all
Correct.
self-realization.
Correct.
So is it like to keep telling?
It is like this.
Why is it written in so many
ways?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is like you asking Bollywood, why do you keep on producing so many songs about pyar, pyar, ishq, ishq?
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah.
That's it.
The mind has to be told again and again. Okay.
In the case of Bollywood, it is about livelihood. But for a scientist like Shankaracharya ji, see, it is like this. I feel that ultimately, what is Vedanta? Vedanta is giving you a model of the reality. Vedanta is not the reality in the sense that it is saying whatever written is the reality. Vedanta is a model of the reality, and it is a pointer to the reality. Because reality cannot be contained in some scripture. Reality is not something that can be written in a scripture. But a pointer to the reality can be written in the scripture. Map cannot be the place. Place is separate from the map. But the map is very important. So therefore, when you look at the map, there are different levels at which the map can work. So for someone who wants to see, okay, I am going for the next 15 days on important places in Karnataka, what would you recommend? You want a map where the whole Karnataka can be seen and maybe major points can be identified. For a person who says, okay, now I'm going from Bangalore to Chitradurga, you need a slightly deeper map. So each map has a particular purpose. And that is why the system of study is also organized. See, Vedantic study is a very systematic, organized, step-by-step approach, which is what we kind of saw in our earlier discussion. So there has to be a foundation. And the foundation is given to us by Tattva Bodha. See, today we are so conversantly, so fluently talking about Maya, Brahman, Anubhuti, Aparoksha. So many of the Vedantic terms. All these are Vedantic terms. Why? Because the foundation was laid by Tattva Bodha. In the prakriyas, there is one very important prakriya, which is in order to help come out of the ignorance about the self, the only way is you have to like how the snake is there in the rope. It is not there, but you keep on thinking it is there. You keep on imagining it is there. So therefore, a model has to be now superimposed on that ignorance, and by examining the model, the reality can be pointed at. So that is Vedanta. So therefore, to begin with, Tattva Bodha lays the foundation. Then Aparoksha Anubhuti takes us slightly deeper. As you can see here, it is now directly taking into the self. In Tattva Bodha, it began with, after the introduction, it began with Nitya Anitya Viveka. By now, Nitya Anitya Viveka is given, is established. Therefore, we are now dwelling deeper. We are no more talking about Jagat Utpatti. We are now talking about what is that real, which is always there. So in that way, yes, all are talking about the same thing, correct? All the maps are talking about the same thing, correct? But there are different levels of resolution, different levels of information, different depth. So depending upon the particular aspect of this model that you want to deep dive, you will have a particular text. So for example, Jagat Utpatti, we briefly learnt in Tattva Bodha, it is Panchikarana. Now Shankaracharya ji has written one Panchikaranam text itself, where you go deeper into Panchikarana. Like that, then as you go further, Brahma Sutra, so there are different viewpoints, subtler viewpoints, which come, which may be slightly confusing, conflicting. So how to analyze all this and to bring completeness to the model, because in science or in anything that you build as a model has to be closer to reality. If you are constructing a house and if the architect gives you a 3D model, he cannot give a model of a hut and say that no, imagine I'm going to build a palace. You expect him to give you the model of a palace. You will want to see what is the proportion, what is the size, doors. I want to see it from inside, how many rooms, what kind of material, what kind of color. You want to examine it, because that one is examinable before the real thing gets constructed. So in that way, Vedanta is giving us a model of the entirety and different depths of different text. Is that clear, Shubhaji? Padmaji, you unmuted in between. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. Say, on the same lines, sir, what I was thinking is, now that I've gone through the first video fully, I see that, Guruji has not spoken in detail about, the Shat Sampati and all that. He just mentions those words. Whereas Tattva Bodha, he would have taken, every single word and given multiple examples, simple ways for us to understand those terms. So if we directly go to Aparoksha Anubhuti, and there if he just says, okay, you should have the Shat Sampati, the Sadhana Chatushtaya, you will not understand. So I think that way it is like each text is different in that way, I think. And also, when I don't know, Shubha, if you had the opportunity to go through the text itself. I mean, last time we were mentioning it to sir, but I went through the shlokas also, the first 25 of them. So in that, there is a way in this, like how he negates, it's very different and beautiful. It's not like the other texts, or the Brahmanyanavali or whatever we hear, no, there how he is using. It's very different here. Like how can you say that the body is like this? That's how he arrives at each shlokas. In this, the first at least 25 is like that. So I think it has its own beauty, each scripture. And I think that now that we are doing this, no, it is easier for us to understand also. Yeah, when he says that we should have Shatam Sampati or Shama Dama, we have so many times we went through it. What is it like that, we contemplated. Now that word will immediately, okay, this is what it means. We can connect easily, I feel. Yeah, that's it, sir.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But one thing I wanted to understand is with this Aparoksha Anubhuti, when it is said that it is a direct experience, so like will we also be doing like meditations and all in this?
Okay. So see,
because earlier you introduced us to that Bhaya Nidhi, Bhaya
Vedantic meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. The two
While
types.
we are studying this, now see, the thing is, what is the purpose of the Vedantic meditation? Unlike our, say, our breath observation awareness meditation, Vedantic meditation is the intellect is where we are deciding. Intellect is where we are choosing, discriminating. So the intellect uses our memory bank, chitta, and it churns that to pick the right thought. So Vedantic meditation is essentially bringing the Vedantic thought. Who am I? So whenever we are in any worldly transaction, and there is some loss happening, or maybe somebody insulting us, or maybe somebody praising us. So earlier, the tendency of the mind would have been to carry on with that, either the praise or the insult. Now, it gets replaced with the thought. So which thought you bring to handle your day-to-day and moment-to-moment activities is the practice of Vedantic meditation. It's a clear replacement of one thought. So we started our session today with Upadesha Saram, because that's a meditation. In what sense? We clearly put the Upadesha Saram thoughts in our mind before we started our contemplation. We were not talking about anything else. We were focusing. We were thinking about what Upadesha Saram said. What is unbroken consciousness? So like that, It's a conscious replacement of anitya or asatya thoughts with satya thoughts, is what is Vedantic meditation. And satya thoughts are given in various forms. Brahmajnanavali, Upadesha Saram, Nirvana Shatkam, or even Mahavakyas. So, therefore, you are already established in that process. Am I, is it clear to Padmaji?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So we may not be sitting with our eyes closed and doing that. Now, it is, even with your eyes open, you're already doing it.
We basically meditate on the scripture itself, on the
you're
words
meditating on
that are
the
being spoken.
truth of the scripture, correct.
Go deep into those words and understand it from within rather than,
That's why it's advanced. The foundation we go through theory and lab practical.
Yeah.
And here it's integrated.
No, I'm able to relate also, because earlier I remember when the same way I had also tried to go through the Tattva Bodha scripture, like how I'm going through that Aparoksha Anubhuti now in Sanskrit. But half of the things, no, Saravanaji, I just read it well because I can read Sanskrit better, but there was no understanding of even some words, even though I've studied Sanskrit for a few years. But in this, I could make out the sentences. So something has changed within from the way I read the scripture itself. So yeah, it's good.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So I think we are almost at the end of it. So just wanted to quickly touch upon two things very quickly. So it is sadhana siddhi is we do something to get something. So this is in the world of our action. So, you have to read about a fort and you travel to the fort and you experience the fort. Whereas it is Gnana Mukti is clarifying what you are already. So you are in front of the palace and you are not knowing, then, it's just clarifying. You're already there. It's a simple recognition. So that is Mukti. So therefore, the map of the Mukti is nothing but freedom from the limitation. Where is the limitation? Limitation is in the mind. By who? By the ego entity. As what? As the triad of the limitation. What is that? I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the knower. So Deha Bandha, then the enjoyer is about the rest of the mind. Knowership is about the intellect. So these are the three bondages. So from that bondage, how to move away or how to evolve, that is where the grace, anugraha. What is grace? Grace is nothing but Sadguru Seva Satsanga. Because in the grace, the right teaching comes and we get involved with the Seva activity and our impressions in the mind. As you can see in the below picture, the impressions in the mind are reducing. And as the impressions are reducing, we are becoming more and more peaceful. So that is the grace. That is what develops the preparedness, or that is the preparedness for Vedanta studies. So who is someone who can take up the Vedanta study? What is the qualification? So the qualification is sadhana chatushtaya. And among them, Shat Sampatti. One should have Shat Sampatti. That's the primary thing. So through the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, through repetitive working in a selfless way, and by listening to Sadguru, the deep-rooted impressions are now destabilized. And there is true desire to know the self, and Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana, all these Shat Sampattis have developed. That is when one is ready for the Vedanta. And then as the Vedantic Viveka is given, naturally it makes sense unambiguously. And as that ripens, that is Aparoksha Anubhuti. Meaning, the ignorance completely drops. And as the ignorance drops, what remains is self only. All right? Is this making sense?
Very nice picture in covering the whole thing.
No, see, the ego is telling, oh, you are there, Aparoksha Anubhuti. You have crossed all this, now it's here. It looks so nice, sir, that sun. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there is one magic in the pictures that you put.
All right.
Good.
Okay. So, Shubhaji? Or was it Padmaji? Who started the prayer today? Padmaji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from untruth to truth, darkness to light, impermanence to permanence. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is complete. This is complete. From completeness comes completeness. When completeness is removed from completeness, what remains is complete. Om, peace, peace, peace. Nanu, nanenbadu nanalla, ideha manabuddhi nanalla, sachidanandatma, shivananu nane. Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am not the body, I am not the mind. I am Satchidananda, Shiva Swarupi. Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyadarshanam. Recognition of the self is recognition of the whole. Recognition of the whole is recognition of truth. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritat. We worship the three-eyed one, who is fragrant and who nourishes all. Like the fruit falls off from the bondage of the stem, May we be liberated from death, from mortality. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, peaceful.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hari Om,
So
sir.
for the
Thank
next
you.
session, so one is, I have come up with one, where is that? So what is the qualification for studying Aparoksha Anubhuti? Why is it important? That question we can all take up for contemplation. Also in the first talk, I noticed that, there are few more sections after the first 20 minutes, which also can bring about, what is the reason or the illusion of the separation, and, what is that ultimately the final clarity is. So what kind of question can we frame? If you can all please add, that way question can be our probing point.
I think as each one starts talking, presenting, I think the questions also will come naturally, so that we can rely on that as well. Because
Okay,
the
so then,
nature of
generally
the
what you're
day,
saying is the last 30 minutes will be the focus of the talk for next session.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Are you saying that the last 30 minutes of the Aparoksha Anubhuti day 1 talk is what can be the focus for presentation by everyone?
Not necessarily that, like the way I was explaining and we were getting questions, right? So we can build up on the questions based on how each one is presenting the content.
Correct. But you started explaining when the first question that was raised to you is, what is Aparoksha Anubhuti? So like that, I'm asking for the next session, what are the key questions, or is there a key question through which, we can present?
Yeah, I can say, like, we are introducing duality and the effect of duality and what is the solution. So I think we can build up.
So we'll contemplate on what's the qualification, and then what is duality,
effect of duality,
what is effect
what is the solution
of duality, what is the solution.
Yeah.
Is this acceptable to all of us? So two questions. What is the qualification for studying Aparoksha Anubhuti? Why is it important? What is duality? What is the effect of duality? What is the solution? So these are the two questions for which,
Yeah, that this itself will take one or two sessions.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, everyone.
Hari Om.